All right, good afternoon, everybody. David Paul with you here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center. Wanted to step in and give you an update on what is still considered Tropical Storm Bertha and whose impacts have reached southeast Texas and the upper Texas coast. You're looking at saltwater recon live camera down in Galveston, and we've noticed just over the past hour that the surf action out here has increased quite a bit. This is probably about as heavy a surf it's going to get. There you see some folks out there enjoying it. They're out there on the jetty watching the surf. Overall, these are minimal impacts. This is very close to what we expected to get, even though we were expecting a landfalling tropical storm. The nature of this, with the upper level winds shearing the storm apart before it could get here, weakening everything and weakening all of the impacts that you would normally expect with a tropical storm, that's what's happened. So it's a breezy day in Galveston, and forgive the camera, I'm not in control of the camera right now. Saltwater Recon's adjusting it where they need it. But it's, I wouldn't go swimming. Rip current threats high. Looks like these folks may be doing some fishing or taking a video down there. There's some folks set up on the beach down here just enjoying watching the waves. Stay on the beach. I see folks out in the waves right here. Pelicans. There is light rain down in Galveston, but the overall impacts are very muted. It's 81 in Galveston. There is rain. It's 16 degrees cooler than yesterday. The impact of this is to break the heat wave that we had yesterday. Still feels like almost 90 with a dew point of 79. So 81, so they're getting some rain-cooled air down there, dropping it to 81 Galveston. This is downtown. A minute ago, we had a little bit of light rain coming through the Houston area, the downtown Metroplex. This is our camera on the Gulf Freeway. On the south side, you're looking north. But the raindrops have ended. One remnant raindrop on the lens there. Traffic's moving, and conditions are really tranquil. They're relatively tranquil, even though we have a storm technically right on us. It's 91 at Bush. They're cloudy. Look at this. The dew point is almost 80, so it feels like 106 when you factor in the dew point. You walk outside in Houston right now, you can feel how deep the tropical moisture is and that humidity is. But it is 10 degrees cooler than yesterday at this time, and we will certainly take that. That may be the biggest impact, one of the biggest impacts, if not the biggest, is the temperature drop today after the record heat yesterday. Current winds, very unimpressive. Got a north wind at 3 at Galveston, north wind at 6 at Hobby, Houston a north wind at 13, Tomball north at 6. These winds are low. We expected them to be low, but these wind speeds are lower by about 10 to 15 miles an hour than even we expected. As the storm has come inland early this afternoon, it's just falling apart. Winds are weakening rapidly. So winds, not an issue, even with the light rain we're getting down here. Angleton reporting calm winds. There's some thunderstorms down toward the coast of Brazoria and Matagorda County right now, but even that's not producing any type of significant wind. Here is the radar and satellite. I've zoomed out so you can see the center. That's it right there. There's the center coming in. Well, it's going to start over. We're going to start right here and just follow along. There is when I say the center, that's the low-level center. Tropical systems are surface-based systems, so we track the center off of these surface winds, and you can see them spinning counterclockwise on this track right in here. So we're getting a direct hit right now from what's left of Tropical Storm Bertha. But look where all the rain and thunder is. It's down here, and even that is weakening now. But as we expected, down the coast, from Matagorda to Corpus down to Padres, where they're getting much more rain, and they've had a little bit stronger winds down there. We'll look at the winds in just a moment. This is a longer loop. This goes to pre-sunrise, so it starts without being able to see the visible satellite. Then the visible satellite comes in as the sun comes up. But this is the path it's taken from maybe just offshore, then a second landfall either in Louisiana or Texas, depending on how you count it. We've had the thunderstorms on the south side or offshore. All the strong winds have been down here in the thunderstorm activity, not up with the low-level center where the winds are very tranquil. But it's so odd to see a tropical swirl, a tropical storm technically, coming in and having so minimal impacts. But that is all because of the upper-level winds blowing all the action to the south and west. Now, that being said, hello Angleton, Freeport, Down towards Surfside, you guys are getting a thunderstorm right now. That's the only thunderstorm in town. That's rain across the north side of the bay into East Harris County. So Baytown, Mont Belvieu, Ship Channel, getting some pretty good rain. That's a light to moderate rain that's coming in. So that looks like it's going to give Harris County and the downtown area some action here in the next hour or so. Let me just take a moment and zoom in on that. Yeah, there we go. There's some heavier downpours with that. Baytown, Mont Belvieu, 225, I-10 East, all the east freeways are getting wet or about to get wet. Rain across League City down to Smith Point, and then San Leon getting wet. A little bit of light rain activity on the west side from Jersey Village to Memorial down to Bel Air, Meyerland, getting some light sprinkle showers. I do think this is going to get us wet as it comes through. But again, even with that, the whole system, because it's inland, is just what little is left of it is falling apart. So we're not going to see any strong wind with this. Modeling going between now and 5 o'clock, bringing in that rain across the central and south side of Harris County into northern Brazoria, and then eventually into Fort Bend County. So we're going to see some rain across a lot of the area this afternoon. None of it too terribly heavy, we don't think, although an isolated thunderstorm is not out of the question. By 10 o'clock tonight, what there is of it is pushing to the west of us, and you'll notice the rain chances really drop off after 10 o'clock tonight. And then let's go into Friday. Friday is just more of a typical summer day. We get an onshore flow, and from time to time we'll see a scattered shower tomorrow. I'm going to leave it at a 30% rain chance on Friday, but it's back to just normal summertime stuff. We'll be hot and humid, upper 90s if we can get the sun to come out. And this is the story with Bertha. The center completely exposed and removed from the deep thunderstorm convective activity. That is all here, none of it over the low-level center of what is technically Tropical Storm Bertha. As of 1 o'clock, you know, they put up winds of 45, winds to stay at 45. Well, where are those winds? Because they're not here. They're not associated with the center. They are associated with this thunderstorm activity. That even since they put out this advisory, since 1 o'clock, here we are at 3, that whole area of thunderstorms has weakened considerably. So we're not seeing any winds out here sustained at 30 to 35. We'll look at the coastal winds here in a second. But the whole thing's falling apart. And that is kind of what we expected to happen. Gusts to 60, nope, that's not happening. It is moving west at 10. Zoom in a little bit. Again, there's the center, just completely exposed from the thunderstorm activity. And that is all of that is a function of the upper level flow. And as we zoom out here, let's draw it. You can see it. Let's see if my data will catch up with my zooming out. There it is. Can you see the flow? There it is. That's the flow. Everything rotating clockwise at the upper levels around a dome of high pressure, the heat dome. You often see me put up upper level wind maps. It's all the upper level winds. Is the cold front going to come through or not? It has to do with the upper level winds. Are we going to get a freeze? Or are we not going to get a freeze? It'll have to do with the upper level winds. Which way is the tropical system going to go? Upper level winds. Upper level winds are not only pushing the whole thing to the west as it rides around that upper level flow, but the upper level flow is so strong that it is shearing all of the storms off to the west of the center, weakening the system. Current wind speeds. These are not gusts, these are current sustained winds. North wind at 13 at Bush, southwest at 3 in Galveston, 12-mile-an-hour breeze in Port Lavaca, 13-mile-an-hour breeze in Corpus, 13-mile-an-hour breeze Port Isabel. There are some buoys out here. We checked with the buoys out here, and over the last 15 minutes, they're only seeing winds 10 to 15, even offshore. So everything is weakening and falling apart. What's left? The track, as of 1 o'clock, the system's moving right across the heart of Houston, southeast Texas with a little bit of, I'm looking out the window, sprinkles. The trees aren't even moving. The leaves are hanging still. We've got a light rain in the parking lot here, Westheimer at Chimney Rock. We'll take it. So I'll get to that in a second. This is the second storm, by the way, we've taken a direct hit from this season. We took a direct hit from Arthur. Same thing. It was the upper level winds blew all the storms over to Louisiana. We just had a nice breezy day. Now we're taking a direct hit from Bertha about a month later. Upper level winds have blown all the storms well to the southwest. We're getting a relatively calm day out here because of it. Just amazing. We've been hit by 2 storms this season. Future track. So here's a bigger picture. By 5 o'clock, we are going to see some scattered showers. It could still be a little bit of a thunderstorm here and there this afternoon, but it won't come with any significant wind. That's 5 o'clock. You see the heavier rain Corpus to Brownsville. Going into 9:30, what there is of a broad circulation falls apart. We may have a scattered shower, much better chance for showers down in the valley of Texas. Falfurrias, King Ranch getting some rain. Whoa. So here we are going into Friday noon, and by tomorrow afternoon, what's left of the rain in Mexico, we're getting a typical summer onshore flow, a few scattered showers tomorrow afternoon in a very humid air mass. This tropical system will leave a lot of humidity in place. Let's take a look at the wind. Are we looking at these winds or gusts? So this is just future. These are winds. It's not gusts, but forecast sustained winds. Now, what we're seeing, 5, 8, 10, 11 mile an hour winds. We go into 6 o'clock. Winds come more off the Gulf. South wind at 14 in Galveston. East wind at 9 in Houston. Brenham, College Station, maybe a little bit more of a breeze out of the east-northeast at 15 to 20. By 10 o'clock tonight, we may still have a breeze of 10 to 15, but nothing that's going to cause any damage, nothing out of the ordinary. By 6:30 tomorrow morning, quiet morning, a little bit more of an onshore flow down in Galveston. So we just never really get into anything significant wind-wise. And then tomorrow afternoon, that's just a typical summer day, sea breeze comes in. So there we are. And now we're getting a break from the heat with the cloud cover and the rain this afternoon. We'll have a 20% chance for a few isolated showers tomorrow, and then the heat builds. We're back to the upper 90s to triple digits as we head into next week. Monday 100, Tuesday 101, Wednesday 100, Thursday 101. Full-blown summer heat wave. In fact, those temperatures are 5 degrees above normal. If we get high enough humidity, we could have heat advisories or heat warnings. So we'll go back to playing that game as we get into the end of the weekend and early next week. So the point I was going to make, and we were talking about this in the weather office, if you look back in history, almost every time, that the upper Texas coast, Houston, Galveston, has taken a direct hit from a named tropical system, the coming winter, we've had snow or an ice storm or a gigantic freeze. Like out of the ordinary stuff, every time. I can name a few off the top of my head. Hurricane Alicia in '83. Well, if you were here for Christmas of '83, it stayed below freezing for 4 days. Unusual Arctic outbreak. 1989, we had Jerry. I believe it was Tropical Storm Jerry in '89, that summer, and then that winter was one of the coldest on record. Several bouts of ice storms and sleet. Christmas '89 and then into the winter of '90. I don't know, Harvey, that one I try to erase from my head. Harvey, so although we didn't take a direct hit from Harvey, obviously Harvey had gigantic impacts here from the flood. That was in the summer of 2017. Before Christmas, I believe it was December 8th, we had a huge snowfall here, and we had 4 measurable snows that winter of 2017, after the summer that Harvey flooded us. We had Nicholas, and then we had the ice storm in January of 21. We had Nicholas in 20, and then January 21 had the big ice storm. So now we're sitting here, we've taken a direct hit from 2 tropical storms now this year, 2 of them. I don't think that's ever happened. I haven't dug back into those records, but I cannot remember seeing or experiencing taking a direct hit from 2 storms in the same year, let alone a month apart. Now, both of them have been so unique in that they were torn apart once they got here, but they were still tropical storms, Arthur and now Bertha. What does that mean for this winter? Well, let me tell you, we're in an El Nino, and the El Nino forecast is for the El Nino to strengthen and strengthen and become one of the strongest we've ever seen as we get into winter of 26, 27. Are we going to get an ice storm? That's definitely in the bingo possibility card, just based on what we've observed. That's where we stand. We're live at 4 with a complete update. We'll see you at 4 o'clock for the next live show.